Hello. Today we're going to talk about why Heavy Mace 360s should be part of your functional fitness program. I'm going to share 3 reasons why it should be. I might even add a 4th bonus reason at the end. My name is Chris Butterworth. This is the Healthy Butter Fitness channel. We talk here about being in your 50s and 60s and fighting off the effects of father time every day, every step of the way. I started this journey about 4 years ago. And my goal with this channel is to share what I've learned. I'm really trying to create the channel that I wish existed when I started, so that your journey can be easier than mine was. I want to walk through what I learned, what worked, what didn't work, and what was successful. I am 56 years old today and I feel great. When I turned 50, I was broken down, chronic back pain, rotator cuff issues, elbow issues, and I've worked through all those. Functional fitness has been the answer. Kettlebells, clubs, and mace. And I want to share with you what I learned. So let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's share. Why should we add Heavy Mace 360s to our functional fitness program? Last week I did a video and I showed my Heavy Mace 360 workout, Mace Heavy 360s workout in full. It was kind of a long video. And today, after I post those videos, I like to go back and kind of walk through why we did what we did and how it comes together. Very important as we talk about Heavy Mace 360s, for our purpose here in our 50s and our 60s, and we're trying to fight off father time, we do not like to break ourselves. So when I say heavy, I mean heavier than normal. I do not mean max heavy, how much can you lift? When I watch, I'm going to use an example. One of the people I follow that I think is just amazing. He's kind of set the bar for what mace work looks like. Is the Flowing Dutchman. If you haven't watched his videos, go watch his videos. If you found me, I'm sure you're probably already watching him. The Flowing Dutchman is amazing. But when he does heavy mace work, we're talking like 40, 50, 60 kilo maces, 100-pound plus, and you see him lift it and he tries to do a 360 and he fails, and then he tries again and he almost, and then he has to drop it, right? And then maybe on his 4th, 5th, 6th try, he gets around, he does one side, and then he comes around to the other side, and then he throws it down, and it's successful, and he's all smiles, and everybody's cheering him, right? We are not about max lifts here. The goal, what we want to do is push our boundaries of what we're able to do. We want to gain strength. We want to gain mobility. We want to gain flexibility. We want to gain functional strength. But we don't want to introduce fatigue unnecessarily, and we don't want to introduce injury, right? Father time is already trying to hit us, right? So whereas the Flowing Dutchman is trying to do one, maybe 2 or 3 individual reps to show that he can do that weight, on my video I posted last week, I did 14 sets of 15 reps. So I did 210 reps. I used a 20-pound mace, which for me is heavy. I pick it up and I feel the heft. I swing it around, and after a few reps, I start to feel a little tired. It's definitely heavy for me. So let's talk about, let's go 3 reasons of why we want to do Heavy Mace 360. First of all, very important is that heavier requires good technique. When I pick up a light mace, when I use my mace, when I do a mace kata, which is kind of a series of movements that I have predefined, and it hits both sides, left and right. I do top and bottom, but I'm extending the mace around in different places. I have to use a lighter mace because you can't hold a heavy mace really far away from your body. When you're using a lighter mace, if you get a little bit into, if you get a little bit out of sorts, if your angle is wrong or something like that, you can muscle it back into shape. If it starts to, you get a little wobbly, you can just use your muscles and bring it back into line. With a heavier mace, technique is extremely important. If it gets out of alignment, you're going to drop it. There's only so much you can do to recover when you're out of balance. And so heavy mace requires you to refine your technique. The more reps you do that require good technique, the more that technique gets imprinted on you, and the better that you get. So I think it's important to add some reps at least with a heavier mace and force yourself into that technique. As I'm going through these, let's jump into point number 2. If what I'm saying makes sense, please like and subscribe. If this is helpful, if you want to come back, that helps my channel. It helps you find it again later as well. I really appreciate it. Point number 2, as you get used to heavier weight, a combination of your body gets a little bit stronger, your technique gets a little bit better, and just the heft of holding that thing in your hands, it makes the lighter weight seem lighter. When I do my mace kata, as I talked about before, this is a 13 3/4 pound mace. It's much lighter than 20 pounds. But whether it feels like 13 or whether it feels like 11 kind of depends on that heavy. The heavier I get used to maces, the lighter this feels. And when this feels light, it allows me to, let's come back here a little bit. After I do a 360 and I come around, if I have to do an archer, this feels a lot lighter when I'm used to 20 pounds. If I have to spear lunge, right, I can control this weight a lot better the lighter it feels. So as I'm going through some of those extended movements, let's put this back. As I'm going through some of those extended away from body movements, I can focus on the movement. I can focus on, instead of just trying to get through, and I know I'm going to do X number of sets or X number of reps, instead of just trying to get through where I'm breathing heavy and I'm sweaty and I'm out of breath, if I can actually focus on, is my technique right? How is my hand holding? How is my extension? Am I straight or am I leaning back? Those are the kind of things, it allows my workout to get better because it feels a little lighter. The third thing why we should add heavy is because just shoulder health. The reason we do mace, one of the reasons is just doing that shield cast movement, that 360 movement, kettlebell halo movement. You cannot do enough of those for your shoulder health, subject to the weight not being too heavy, right? If your weight's too heavy, you run the risk of tearing something. But if it's a weight that you can control, oh my God, the more you can do shoulders, the better you feel. And that translates all the way through. Just having movement, having full mobility, being able to do whatever you want with your shoulders. That's why we do functional fitness, right? The end goal is to feel great. So we talk about all these, there's sub goals of, did we do as many workouts as we wanted to? Did we do a workout 5 days last week? Whatever it is. Did we increase weight? Did we, blah, blah, blah. There's all these different little markers that we try to do to make sure that we're moving forward. But the real reason we're doing this is to feel great. Wake up in the morning and feel great. And you really can't do enough shoulders. There's not an upper limit. So heavy makes us feel better. The fourth reason, kind of the bonus reason here, is really 360s are the baseline foundational mace exercise. Everything you do, you come off a 360 and you go around and you do an uppercut, and then you go back to a 360 and you might do a split side lunge or something like that, or a spear lunge, whatever it is. And then you always, the mace is always going back up and doing some form of a 360. It might be one side, it might be the other side, it might be a drop with one hand, whatever it is, you're always going back to 360. So the better your technique is, the more you're comfortable with that weight, you can go down to lighter weights and then have more movement patterns, more complexity. So I talked earlier about pushing our boundaries. We want to push our boundaries, and there's 4 real ways to do it, right? We can do, if you're doing, like I did 14 sets of 15. If you're doing sets of 15, you can do more sets. You can do 14 and then 15 and then 16, 17 sets of 15, 18 sets of 15. You can always add volume, right? The second thing is you can always add density. You can add, if I'm doing sets of 15, maybe next time I can do sets of 20. I can do 12 sets of 20, 13 sets of 20, 14 sets of 20. So by adding volume and density, we're pushing our boundaries. We're getting a little tiny bit stronger. We're adding strength to what we're capable to do. You can push your boundary by adding complexity. So being able to do maybe not just right hand over left ear, but right hand over right ear. Then maybe you can drop your left hand and come around with one hand. Maybe you can go over just one shoulder instead of both shoulders. So being able to add complexity pushes your boundaries. And then finally adding weight. Being able to control heavier weight pushes your boundaries. So our goal is always, number one, goal is to feel great, right? And we do that by doing these different exercises. We work with kettlebell, we work with club, we work with mace. And in these different modalities, these different equipments, we do different movements and we try to increase the movements that we can do. We want to be able to do more movements in more volume with more weight over the long term. It doesn't matter this week or next week. I did 14 sets of 15 last week. It doesn't mean I have to do 15 sets of 15 next week, right? I can do 14 sets of 15 several times in a row until I feel that it's really comfortable. Then I'll move up one. Long-term improvement is what we're after. I hope that helps. I'm going to link to the workout that I did, the Heavy Mace 360 workout, in the description below. If you have questions about what it looks like, or how I do sets and reps or anything like that, watch that video. Again, it's 14 sets. Maybe you only need to watch 2 or 3 sets and you get a feel for what it looks like. Hope this helps. Hope you're able to build a program that works for you, add some heavy mace to it, and I hope you feel great. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Go get better.